One thing you're going to need in life, no matter what you're doing, is leadership, strategy, and tactics. And the number one expert on that is sitting with me right here. Jocko Willink is here for another segment. Thank you so much for spending some time with us, man. And as I told you in the break, I grew up in a sports family. I try to use like those sports analogies to get, team sports I think is important for the development of kids and people. And a lot of the things you talk in the book, like don't act like you know everything and be humble, right? And I tend to act like I know everything sometimes, but I try to be humble. How important is just humility in life that you learn from the lowest and the highest of people around you?
To me, humility is the most important characteristic that a leader can have. Because if you're not humble, you're not listening to anybody else. You're not taking any advice. You don't even have the humility to admit when you're wrong. So a good leader is going to be humble enough to say, hey, you know what? Hey, I came up with this plan. It's not quite what I expected. We need to make an adjustment. And it works. So, most important characteristic, yep, you got to stay humble.
Jocko, you deal a little bit in the book with something called the imposter syndrome. I can relate to this somewhat. Most of my career has been in radio, and I went from being an intern to being a producer and being in a position to supervise all the people that were my peers 15 minutes ago. And that can be difficult for both the people taking the supervision and the person that may get that promotion. What advice can you offer folks about how to handle that if that happens to them?
Look, I don't necessarily think that the imposter syndrome is a bad thing. In fact, I think there's some positive to it. So when I took over for the first time a SEAL platoon, I took over for the first time a SEAL task unit. I'm going to be in charge. I got people's lives in my hands. Of course you're going to feel like, hey, maybe I don't belong here. That's okay. You want to know why it's okay? Because when I didn't feel like I was quite ready, guess what I did? I worked harder, I prepared more, I scrutinized my own plans and made sure that they were good to go. And so when you do that, guess what? You perform better. So that's what I did, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing.
As you can tell with our staff here, there's often issues that need correcting, and I'm wondering if you can give any advice to the fellow to your right about how to dole out and handle criticism in an effective manner.
I'm sure that he approaches it very gently and just massages those points in there. Look, you got to speak to the truth, but you got to do it tactfully with your team as well.
Well, I can tell you this, Jocko. If they don't respond to compliments, I have to go to the weaponry sometimes. And Frank is usually my suspect.
See, not prepared. That's part of extreme ownership.
I didn't have the field manual.
That's called the dead man's gun in the SEAL teams.
I didn't check my ammo before I started firing. But no, I'm with you that you gotta be humble, and I do make a lot of mistakes. And my staff is really wonderful. I just have to tell you, they're great. And Patrice and Nico, and they're back there, Jess and Kyle and Chelsea and everyone. I'm trying to adapt on the fly here and dole out credit. He does all the work, actually.
Well,
they put notes in front of me, and I just go, hey, welcome, and he does. Did I dole
Jocko,
out enough credit to everyone
yet?
Or?
A little less enlightened than
I'm
John.
trying to embrace.
What advice do they need to keep in mind when it comes to doling out criticism to those that are under them?
You know what? I'll make a guess. I'll go out on a limb right now. My guess is that despite your brash attitude, your team knows that you actually care about them.
I love them.
There you go. And when your team knows that you care about them, then guess what? You can be blunt with them, you can be honest with them, because they know that you're doing it from a place of care, and that's what's enough to propel them forward.
Yeah, I try to explain that to them sometimes, but I get out of control, and I can't help myself. I never would have the discipline to be a Navy SEAL. You know what I'm saying? Staten Islanders, we got a few screws loose, like your good friend Jimmy Otto.
Yeah,
Jimmy, you know what I'm saying?
He's great guy.
He's a Staten Islander too. We all he and I went to the same high school, Monsignor Farrell High School. And we got that, brothers, the Christian brothers, that discipline stuff. I think it helps. Team sports, some structure in the childhood.
Yeah, no, he's been great. I've written a bunch of kids' books, and he's taken those kids' books and distributed them all out Staten Island, and they have it part of their program. Readers are leaders.
That's right.
Great guy.
So on the final note, I just want to ask you this. From what I understand, you have like 1 billion Instagram followers and hundreds of thousands, 1 million Instagram followers or something. We're trying to get a message out, like regular guys, talk to regular people. Could you help us, tell your folks to check us out a little bit or something?
I'll tell them to check you out. Sure, let's do it.
You will?
Yeah.
All right. Frankie, you heard him. You got him on the record on that.
I just hope you'll come back. And
yeah,
and
that's
we can
the
pick your
main
brain
thing.
some more.
We need you back. And, You got to go out and get leadership strategy and tactics. Okay, this guy, he just pops out New York Times best-selling books. This is a special one because it's not like a book that you read and you put on the side of your bed. This is one that you keep with you. It's your field manual to go out there and attack any circumstance that you face in life. Find the sliver of good in it and keep going forward. I want to thank you so much, Jocko. You're the man. Thank you very much. Thank you for the advice also. I needed that, and I'll try to embrace it. You stay right there because your favorite part of the show is coming up next. The WTF, What the Facts, where Frank corrects all the mistakes I made in today's show right after this.